Round 1. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 269th nice episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and those sexy legends over at Audio Technica. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan 8bit. And joining me today, my podcast Ride or Die, you can find her on them socials at Miss Allie Hart. Miss Allie Hart, it's 2022. How the bloody hell are ya?
I'm feeling nice.
Me too. I'm feeling very nice. We had a nice extended break. We had a month sabbatical, rested, reset, all those cliches. New year, new us, maybe. I don't know. I feel pretty 2021 from a physical perspective, but we're back. We're back in the saddle. We're recording midweek just to get some spicy content out to you because we've been hanging out, enjoying our holiday time, but there's just been so many nice things happening. We thought, shit, we got to get back in the saddle early. So here we are talking things that are all nice themed because it is the 269th episode of the Hungry Gamers. Boy, howdy. What a time.
Yeah, isn't it rough that like when the year clocks over, you don't necessarily feel the difference? Like you really always hope that the second that you hit the next year, you're like, boom, here it is. But it just kind of just mulled over, rolled over, and we're just chugging along.
Yeah, it's one thing like the Father Time has certainly slapped me around the last, maybe just the last like week or so, to be honest. I've just realized my right knee is like clicking like mad. Especially like when I'm going up and down the steps in my place, I'll take a step and it sounds like my knee, like my leg has trodden on like a bunch of twigs and it's like snap every time. It doesn't hurt, but I'm like, maybe I need to keep an eye on this.
My knee's done that for a long time now. I blame ballet for that one. But talking about getting old, I got like my second grey hair.
Hey, welcome to the party.
Yeah. There's a little baby hair at the front and it was like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, cool.
That's
Probably
fine. You're dignified. That's what I tell you. You're more wise. You're more classy.
Two strands wise.
twice as wise now. Twice as dignified. Twice as fancy.
Lordy.
You can be the female Maxwell Sheffield. You know, everyone had a bit of a cross on.
Sheffield.
She's still a bit of a smokehouse, the old Fran Drescher.
She is. She still looks good. Age is like fine wine. She does.
Do you think we're ever going to get a bit of a nanny reboot?
They have to. They've done a Friends reboot.
Yeah.
Like I reckon like they've done a reunion way back, but I don't see why not. Everyone's going to look rough. Like even the kids are going to look rough.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want to sound like rude or disrespectful, but is Niall still alive? Like I don't mean that in a bad way, but
no,
like
I get why you would ask. I'm not to be honest, I'm not too sure.
I don't know. And Cece, what's Cece up to these days?
Not acting, I don't think. Maybe she's appeared and stuff, but it is kind of sad that these people were like mainstream TV staples and then they just kind of fade out. Wasn't the little girl in Californication?
Yeah, she was getting all kinds of kinky and crazy with David Duchovny, and there was probably like 20 plus year gap between those two in that show at the very least, like implied and otherwise.
I think so. I remember a lot of people bringing it up, like saying like, "Oh, the little girl from Nanny was getting absolutely railed." Yeah,
it was a thing. She was a feisty little sex kitten in that show, but also David Duchovny was just doing all kinds of things all the time. Like apparently, like it wasn't too far from like how his actual life was. Like, isn't he like like an actual sex addict and whatever else? And
no idea.
I don't know.
I never watched X-Files.
Yep.
So I've never really had too much of an attachment to that guy. And obviously didn't watch Californication either. No, Californication? Was that what it's called?
That's the one. That's where he's the writer.
Yeah, I was going to start singing some Chili Peppers.
Great track and album.
Pretty good album.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, never watched that stuff.
Yeah. Wonder what the listeners are thinking. Were they big Californication fans? Are they big David Duchovny fans? I don't know what David Duchovny's up to these days. Like, done a couple little cameos here or there. Maybe just having sex.
The theme
still.
of this podcast is like wondering how people are doing.
Where are they now? Coming soon to the 8-Bit Podcast Network. But anyway, we thought we might start things off here. We're not going to be tackling a ton of news. We've only got 2 primary headlines that we're going to be tackling. But yeah, we wanted to have episode 269 with a nice theme. So we'll start things off with what have we been doing over this holiday break that's been nice. So Miss Hart, do you want to lead us off? Tell us about your month away, what you've been playing, what you've been doing, all those things.
Oh, I got really comfortable on Game Pass. Decided just to kind of use that avenue to just try new games. I tried a bunch of indie games. Gorogoa is one. I know you looked at that and said, what the hell is she on about? It's a really nice like puzzle game, kind of little like puzzle adventure where it tells you a story and you kind of have to click through and, you know, link things up together to progress the story. And it was really nice. It was actually pretty relaxing overall and very creative. So that one was an indie gem that was on Game Pass. I played Hypnospace Outlaw. This one has been on my Steam wishlist for a while, and when I saw it was on Game Pass, I'm like, sweet. And that game is wild. For anyone that like grew up on the internet, like way back when, like the early days of the internet, I reckon Hypnospace Outlaw really captures that environment. The general premise is that you're kind of like this like chat room security guard that's keeping an eye on things and making sure people aren't being like bad or, you know, spreading viruses. And it just, you go to all these like websites where it reminds you of like Angel Fire, like, you know, like all those good. Yeah. And then they even have like a thing where you have your, like your desktop and you have like a little desktop pet. And then you have like a no, what was it Winamp? Remember the little audio player? Yeah, and you can change what it looks like. And it's just a really fun, like, little time capsule of anyone that was, like, on the PC, on the internet, like, way back when. Did it play... So you played that on Game Pass. Did you play that with, like, a keyboard mouse, like, through Game Pass PC? Yeah, full disclosure, this is all Game Pass on PC. Okay, cool. So, and then I also played a game called Mind Scanners. This reminds me of Papers, Please, but you're more of like a kind of like a digital psychologist where people are suffering from stuff. So you have to evaluate them with technologies and then you have to cure them. But then there's a lot of political conflict and influence, or people that don't want to be cured, or people that the, you know, overbearing government are trying to find them out. So, you know, because you're digging deep into their brain, you find out like their darker secrets. Maybe they don't want it to come out, and maybe it's very personal, but it doesn't agree with like what how the government runs things. Like it actually got pretty dark, pretty quickly. I did like the direction it went with. So I think if you like Papers, Please, you might actually like Mind Scanners. Paparazzi just came out recently, and I mean, come on, it's a game where you take photos of dogs. Of course I was going to play that. It's very, very cute. Very cute. How's the longevity on that? Like, I downloaded it the other day, and I'm like, how much juice am I going to get out of this squeeze? So sadly enough, I actually ran into an error with the game where for some reason one of the levels was just completely bright and I couldn't really see anything, and then it froze on me. Okay. I'm like, so it kind of like tarnished my experience. But for the few hours that led up to that was very fun, very cute. So I think it's just one of those kind of cute little throwaway games that you want to play just because of, you know, puppies, and they're very cute. It sounds like the game list you've got rattled off here. It sounds like I've walked into Video Easy and I've walked into the science fiction section. Like, just reading the headlines, it sounds like just a bunch of like 80s, 90s sci-fi movies, and I'm loving it. I guess that's actually pretty true. And then just to top it off, I'm been on Minecraft again, thanks to NATO and his realm. And, you know, NATO's got a great bunch of people in that realm as well who are very, very helpful, considering they seem to be playing the game the way it's meant to be played, and I'm just off building a wonderland. Just doing my own thing in my little corner of the universe. But it's just been really fun and very therapeutic. Especially like I've gotten into Critical Role. some D&D stuff. Like I've done D&D, but I've never really watched. Well, no, I watched Harmon Quest, but I've never watched Critical Role. So I'm like, I'll give it a try. I'm addicted now.
I still haven't dove down that path, but I know the second I do, it's going to grab me.
It's intense, but it's totally worth it. They are so amazing, so creative, just a great cast of people. And like, I'm caught up on the current thing. They have a animated series coming on Prime, so look out for that. Vox Machina. I always say it wrong.
Vox Machina. Yeah, it's
like was it
next month? Is it in
on
or
Prime?
Is it March?
It's this week, I think. 28th.
Okay.
So they dropped 3
off.
episodes. I know Benny or anyone else is yelling at me right now. Please be kind. I am like new. I'm only 3rd campaign person right now.
Okay.
So Vox Machina.
Vox Machina.
Something like I'm ossifying it, aren't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, so those were all the games that I was playing within that time. So it's actually quite a lot. I'm actually pretty impressed. I actually cycled through quite a few games.
I'm very impressed. From a game front, outside of like just escapism in online multiplayer stuff with like Apex Legends and then Halo with various assortments of crews and squad mates. Mm-hmm. I finally got around to playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I've been putting it off for a good long while. I never finished the original Final Fantasy on PlayStation, decades ago. But so I went into this with fresh eyes. I clocked this game in the span of like 3 days. I played it so much for 3 days or so over that Christmas period where it just sucked me in. Obviously, we make fun of my weebness, and like there is a lot of anime tendencies and tropes that go into these Final Fantasy games, but like really enjoyed this game. Purchased the INTERmission DLC or expansion that has a couple of chapters there where you get to control Yuffie, which was also awesome. But aesthetically, this game, stunning. Getting that sort of PS5 graphical bump with the PS5 version, it just was gorgeous. Ran smooth as hell. The combat was frenetic and chaotic and heart-pounding. The difficulty level, I felt it was unnecessarily spiked in certain parts where there was just certain enemies you'd come across that could almost like two-shot you no matter what you did. So you had to just like hope there was some RNG goodness there where you get your spell off in time or manage to roll out, the standard tropes in combat. But I like that it's got that real-time combat as opposed to the old turn-based for traditional JRPGs. You're primarily controlling Cloud is obviously the main protagonist of this story, but you've got a nice assortment there with Tifa and Barrett and Aerith and other characters like with Yuffie in the DLC. But it's great. Like the story was cool, and like I was sort of having a bit of a running commentary with Jono at the same time because he's a big Final Fantasy tragic and the main one that was sort of pushing me to play this game. Yeah, at least for 7. Like 7, he adores 7, knows it intimately. So when I was talking to him, like, because there was parts in the story where I think it almost assumes that you know more of the Final Fantasy lore or maybe parts from 7. So there was parts where I'm like, who's this person or what's this about? And then Jono would sort of break it down in the game because Remake, it's taken like a small slither of the original 7 and just sort of stretched it out. Like they've really expanded in certain parts that might have been a 30-minute throwaway in the original, and they've blown it out to like multiple hours in this.
Okay.
So they're really fleshing out certain parts, but then glossing over others. So there was, a bit of back and forth. And I'm like, who's this person? Do I need to know this? Like, what's this about? I hate this part. And, hearing that there's a lot of sort of fan servicing as far as moments from the original that they've brought into and expanded on or just given nods to, like, it seems they are really respectful with this remake. Like, obviously, it's just part 1. We've got multiple other parts to come probably in the next decade or so with the release cycle of these games. But I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I can see why it was one of the best games when it came out in, I think it was 2019? I think Remake dropped originally. Don't quote me, Final Fantasy fans. I think it was around 19, maybe 18. I don't know. Time flies these days. But I smashed this game, in the span of 3 days, and then slapped the expansion on the back of that, and I'm so hungry for more Final Fantasy VII. Like, it really opens up this universe, and talking to Jono, like, I don't want to go into spoilers for the ending, but it really turns a lot of the stuff that you're used to from this franchise, apparently, and especially with 7 on its head, and it opens it up to go a whole host of new directions. So it's kind of exciting that they're going to maybe be making sort of new Final Fantasy VII future content that's unrealized from the previous game. So
okay, I see what you mean. Okay.
But it's so good. The combat's madness. I actually preferred playing the Yuffie combat more than anything in the main line. Just her and her squad mate, synergizing and partnering up and just running around being a mad ninja as opposed to a dude with a giant sword or a gun arm is one thing. But it just hit that anime passion and obsession that I've sort of been, nurturing the last 6 to 12 months. Really great story, really great combat, really great moments, gorgeous. The soundtrack is fantastic. Like, they take a lot of those MIDI songs from the 90s and reimagine them for today, and it's just I'm really, really happy I finally got around to playing it. Did not let me down in any way, shape or form. And now I'm just going to have to patiently wait for maybe half a decade for the next expansion or next component to drop for Final Fantasy VII Remake. But it hit every note I was looking for, and it was time well spent. I'm just sad I've got no more Final Fantasy VII to play. But what we did also then embark on during what we've been doing that's nice in the holiday break is we've watched a lot of things. So Miss Hart, what else have you been watching?
I just want to say that you're not alone in liking that Final Fantasy stuff. I know that the Italian Senate is really enjoying it too. So what I watched was a few little TV series within that time. I've been watching this show called Ghosts. Apparently it was based off a British show, like they had it, that's called Ghosts, and now the Americans are doing it, which I usually kind of poo-poo, but this has been really good. I've just been enjoying it. It's very easy watching and very quaint. It's very enjoyable. The whole premise is that a bunch of ghosts are stuck in a house, and then the house gets, given to an ancestor, and which is a young lady, and she's got her husband, and they want to turn it into an Airbnb, and it's all the shenanigans with the ghosts helping them or maybe hindering them. It's lighthearted. It's very lighthearted. It's very cute. So if you're looking for some easy watching, just kind of like maybe some background stuff or something to watch while you're eating or something, I recommend Ghosts.
It looks fun. The trailers I've seen, it looks really, really enjoyable and wholesome.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, don't expect like award-winning content. Just something nice. Just something nice to watch. Nice. Currently still going, but watching the new season of The Righteous Gemstones. It gets better and better, this show. I can't believe they always outdo themselves, but I never thought that this kind of premise of like an evangelical family, like church family, kind of religious family, and the weird shenanigans that kind of go around them would ever be something as entertaining as this show is. But it's brilliantly done. I just recommend, if anyone has HBO or access to HBO content, to definitely check out The Righteous Gemstones. I finally watched The Witcher. I actually watched most of it on New Year's. Disappointed. Disappointed.
Shot to the heart. Why so? What disappointed you with season 2 of The Witcher?
There was like a lot of weird filler in the middle, and then by the time stuff started happening, it was over.
It did feel like it ended very abruptly. Like, we get some pretty cool sort of nods and things that's going to be happening in season 3 with the wild hunt and everything else. But yeah, I get there was a bit of filler in the middle. There was a bit of just time wasting.
There were definitely some great moments, but for the most part, there was times where I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah, all right, cool. What happened? For the most part, yeah, like I said, it's my total stance. Like, I didn't hate it. I'm not saying, oh, shittiest TV show ever. I just think, I guess kind of how I felt based on season 1 and then now watching season 2. Yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. First episode, awesome. And then there was like these episodes where I'm like, all right, okay, all right. And then stuff started happening and then it was over. I'm like, okay, I guess.
So you think it was more fine than nice?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And then we've also both been watching Peacemaker.
Yes.
What an amazing show.
Yes. It's so good. My goodness
it.
gracious.
Like, I can believe it, but then I'm also still shocked. Like,
yeah, it's just more James Gunn superhero, supervillain, anti-hero, whatever you want to classify it as. Just more James Gunn screen insanity. And it's so enjoyable. And the tone...
great soundtrack.
The soundtrack is fucking a belter. It's so
Amazing.
good. And the intro is one of the greatest intros to a TV show I've ever seen in my life.
Do you really want to taste that? The coordinated but low energy dance routine from the entire cast.
It's so good.
So
And anyone that skips the intro when you watch a new episode at whatever frequency is a heathen, because you need to enjoy and embrace that every single time. Because, yeah, it's just so deadpan from everybody, but it's the best.
I did it once, but that was because I was like blasting it at the gym. So then I was like, I heard this like 5 times already. Yeah. Like, I can pass it today.
But it's so great. Like, obviously, direct continuation from the Suicide Squad movie, following John Cena as Peacemaker, who is just so committed to this role, and he owns it. Like, Peacemaker
really well.
is, for all intents and purposes, a piece of shit of a human being, right? Like, he's not a good guy, but you can't help but root for him at times, or like get behind him, because he, you know, it goes into his backstory and why he is the way he is. So you sort of start to understand why he is such a broken, flawed human being. But it just jumps from comedy to action to science fiction to drama effortlessly, this show. Like, it really just dials it up and dials it down scene by scene, and it's just so easy to watch and so fun.
Yeah, and this is contrast to what I previously said about The Witcher. With this show, like, I'm like watching from beginning to end, and then the credits come up at the end. I'm like, nah, like, I really want to watch more. What a fantastic cast too. Like, you always worry, like, especially with someone like John Cena, like, you worry, like, oh, will the supporting cast kind of get outshined because they want Peacemaker to be the front and center? But everyone in the supporting cast is absolutely amazing. They're fantastic actors. I love Vigilante, by the way. I've never adored just a character. I'm not going to spoil anything, but just like, especially like in the last few episodes, just seeing his reaction, and he's like, how he is and why he is, and it's adorable. It's really goofy and adorable.
It's so great.
But he is a badass too.
Yeah, the whole toe scene just had me in stitches.
Oh, yes.
That's all I'll say. But like, I was audibly laughing out loud at, like, often watching this show. Like, it is so well done. Like, James Gunn nails the brief every time with these DC adaptations.
It's just, and that makes me so sad. Like, yes, James Gunn, thank you for proving that it can be done and you can consistently do it. But then it just makes me sad because it's like, how come only one person can do it?
Yeah, like, it's weird, isn't it? Like, you know, he's no doubt he's a very talented individual, but yeah, like, he's not the only one in the world that could make stuff like this, but he seems to be the only one in the world that's able to make stuff like this at the same time. It's weird.
Is it because he did Guardians of the Galaxy, and because it was a franchise that was still relatively fresh, maybe studio heads were kind of okay to let him kind of do his own thing? They're like, yeah, all right, yeah, you can have... And like, I mean, hey, Chris Pratt, he was from Parks and Rec, right? Like, that was his like last thing, and you know, Drax, like,
Batista was in a couple of things.
Yeah, but like still like an ex-wrestling star. Like I'm still trying to go through the cast in my head, and like there was a lot of like fringe
Hollywood like B-listers. Like, there wasn't a big movie star. But, like, you know, Michael Rooker's been around for decades in, like, action is always an ancillary character. Zoe Saldana was... One, right? Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, he's in Walking Dead in the first season, Reedus' brother. But, you know, Zoe Saldana might have been the biggest name on that outside of Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel. But, you know, they're just voice work anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So he was given free reign. They're like, yeah, sure. I mean, kind of do whatever you want. Like, you can't do whatever you want, but we'll like. And then he said, look, I make magic, and now he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and he does it well. Like,
He does it really well.
obviously things like that zombie apocalypse show you weren't a big fan of on Netflix. The movie, sorry. You know, where they did the
Was
zombie
that-
heist in Las Vegas. He did that.
Well, I take it back then, because apparently he doesn't. I take back everything I said then.
He does make good stuff though. Like, especially in this superhero realm, he nails it. He knows the brief. I'd be very happy if he just continues to make movies and TV shows. And the good thing, he hasn't, I guess, really blacklisted Marvel or DC. Like, he's operating on both sides of the fence. I love that you just hate
that
him
has
now.
completely undone everything that I've said.
Really?
Yes. No, I'm sorry. Like, he doesn't have a clear record now.
Yeah. What was it? Army of the Dead, wasn't it? That's what it was called.
Army of fucking killing 2 hours of my life.
Apologies. I completely balls that up. It was Zack Snyder that did that. I knew it was tied into someone that did something good in the superhero realm with the Schneider cut. And then he went back and did Army of the Dead.
He probably felt a cold little stab in his shoulder right now, and now it's all nice and warm. He's back in my favor.
Yeah, apologies. When I said it, I'm like, I knew it was one of them, but I think
just
I
couldn't
might have
believe
hitched
it.
my
I'm
wagon
just
to
like,
the wrong
I'm
horse.
sorry. Like, how do you do that and then just make whatever the fuck that was? But yeah, Peacemaker's great. A lot of people are watching it. If you've been on the fence to watch it, it's great. It's not for kids.
No way.
at all.
No way. Yeah, seeing such a muscly man have some very aggressive sex scenes. Like, he is so big and muscly. My goodness. The veins in his arms are thicker than some people's arms.
Yes, yeah. The veins in his arms, they were pretty prominent in that scene. I'm like, it's a bit boring when people's veins are poking out like that.
He's starting to look like Bane. Like, the body of him is like Bane. Chuck a venom pack on his backpack or something.
Bane's bigger.
I know, but you know what I mean? Like, just that physical... Like, Bane's, bigger in height-wise, but
He
just
looks like
as
a
far as
superhero. Like, he does look like a superhero. So.
Yeah. He's chiseled out of granite, but he commits to it. Like, going from John Cena, the wrestler, and Thug Life and all that nonsense to these types of roles, and he's got such great comedic timing. He's a treat to watch.
And he's really good at that whole kind of like deadpan kind of delivery of really stupid lines. He does it pretty well. I gotta look for bloopers,
some of the
actually.
things he says, my God, especially in the end credit stingers. Sometimes when they chuck a little bit of wording or a little exchange
the duck
in there.
thing. The duck thing
was so good.
Loved it.
But I've also been watching some other stuff. In the superhero realm, I finally watched The Eternals the other day. It was not nice.
Wow.
It was close to fine, but like, it was pretty to watch, but nothing really happened. Like, it was just a movie. It was just a lot of character set pieces, no real story that was worth caring about, no real characters that were worth caring about. Angelina Jolie at 50 odd being Thena, the, Eternals goddess of war. She's great. She owns it and all this type of stuff. But outside of that, it's just a movie. Like, it's fine.
The movie was a movie?
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, outside of the end credits stinger, which got me excited, or the 2 end credit stingers.
Oh shit! I watched Spider-Man. Did I? Was that?
You didn't say you watched Spider-Man.
Did I say that last year? I didn't think I had.
I don't know if you'd watched it at the time. I don't know.
No. Sorry, I
What'd
thought
you
I'd just throw that in there. I did eventually watch it. It was amazing. Everyone's right. Carry on.
Yeah, it's one of the best pieces of cinema I've seen. But yeah, Eternals. I watched it on Disney Plus. I'm happy I didn't buy the movie or pay for a cinema ticket. So that's a good way to classify it. Like, very pretty. The actors were great and they were committed, but I just didn't find myself giving a shit. The whole time through the movie, I'm like, okay, what's happening? Oh, this has happened. And because it's a long run, it's 2.5 hours, this movie. It's a long sit down. But yeah.
Every movie is these days. I can't stand it.
Yeah, they see the Batman's 3 hours. They're saying 2 hours and 55 minutes. I'm like, fuck, are you kidding me?
Don't me get started. The stuff that I've been seeing about this Batman movie, I just don't.
shifting tone completely to the small screen. I binged all 4 seasons of Yellowstone over the holiday period.
I saw that. I like you like, I'm hooked on Yellowstone. I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, how do you go from anime to this?
My taste buds are whack, but this was awesome. Obviously, the best way to classify this show is picture the same stakes and the same drama as something like Sons of Anarchy. You know, you've got this powerful family that do things illegally or legally to get things done. So it's following the Dutton family. So they're a very rich family in Montana. They own massive amounts of land. They do farming. So they're like the big figureheads of this area. But there's some unsavory practices that get done. So it's got that sense of drama where you never know what's going to happen. You never going to know who's going to potentially get killed off, what the stakes are. And they just keep, you know, as is any good modern day drama / crime based show, the stakes just keep getting higher and higher and higher, and it feels like it's like a house of cards. You're like, this is all going to come down. What's going to happen? And so just seeing this all play out, really good television. Like 4 seasons, the cast is great. Kevin Costner is the figurehead of this family. John Dutton, he owns it as that character. But everyone in this show, phenomenal, love it. Really, really good drama. And yeah, I couldn't stop watching this. Like I smashed out all 4 seasons. Within the span of, I think, a week, I think I finished everything that was available on this show. Yeah. Really good, though. Really recommended. And the other show I started watching just last week is Succession, finally.
It's good?
It's really good. It's really
like everyone good. Talks about it like really highly, and I'm like, maybe this is the one that I watch.
Yeah, it's really good. Like if you like that sort of big business drama, it's about like the Roy family, who are, I guess for the local comparison, you could say they're like the Murdochs. You know, they own most of media, they own television, newspapers, all that kind of stuff. But on the back end, obviously, you get a lot of the dodgy dealings as far as how the power is maintained. Looking at that big corporate America pie and how it gets divided up, and going through acquisitions and just the dysfunction that the family is. Like Logan Roy is the stalwart. He's the father and the head of this company, who's in his 80s now, looking to name his successor and eventually retire. So he's got 4 kids. Who's going to step up and become the new head of Waystar and all this type of stuff? But then, because most of them are like, you know, silver spoon fed kids, they're hopeless or drug addicts or very underprepared for these roles. So you sort of see that dysfunction coupled with all the big drama and all that sort of corporate greed and arrogance and whatever. But it's really slickly written, and Logan Roy is a fucking prick, but like he's great in this role. Like. And he tells so many people to fuck off, and it just makes me laugh every time he does.
I've seen that meme. I've seen that meme everywhere. So that's the one thing I know about this show, is there's a lot of times people say fuck off. So
it's so good. He tells everybody to fuck off. Like even like his kids, like they'll be talking to him. He's like, yeah, you know, Shiv, fuck off, you know. And it just every time it just cracks me up. But it's good drama. There's 3 seasons out at the moment. I think, at episode 6 of season 3. So I'll have this thing finished probably in the next day or 2, I reckon. Yeah. But there's a 4th season on the way. But if you want some good big business crime drama with a media spin on it, Succession is the way to go. Or Yellowstone. They're kind of similar in beats and tones. Yes. But yeah, different locations and completely different stakes.
Yes. Have you watched Yellowjacket yet?
Oh, yeah. I completely finished, first season of Yellowjackets as well.
I felt like that was something you would watch. My husband watched like the first episode, and it's turning into that thing where I was doing my own thing and he was watching in the background, and it caught my attention. Watch
it. So it's definitely nice, Yellowjackets. I completely forgot to put that on there. So yeah, the whole first season is finished now, so you could binge that in whatever, timeline you wanted to. Great cast, really, really cool concept. Like,
from what I've seen, yeah.
It's got a bit of a Lost tone to it, to a degree, as far as plane crash, dealing with the repercussions of that, flashing forward to present day and back 20 odd years to when this plane crash occurred. So it's got a bit of that mixed with some sort of supernatural elements, some thriller elements, and some good drama. And the cast is phenomenal. The writing's great. Talking, like you mentioned before with Peacemaker, with the soundtrack, this is also a show that's got a phenomenal soundtrack, because a lot of the flashbacks are set in the 90s. the soundtrack that they've got pumping through this show around those 90s period pieces is so good. It's really, really, really recommend. It's one of my favorite new shows. It's
got a lot of in the female cast, like the flash forward, I guess, or the present. I don't know what it is. I only saw one episode. But a lot of classic girls that we kind of like grew up with seeing in cinema in, I guess, maybe the 90s is probably the best point with
Christina Ricci, Juliette Lewis.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the one that like I saw and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember her. I didn't haven't seen her in things forever, but yeah, it's a great cast with in that sense. So, and I saw that it looked like, you know, like a classic kind of like horror vibe, like slasher kind of almost like the camp kind of vibe as well. So
yeah,
but yeah,
it's got some good horror thrillery vibes to it, and it's
on my radar.
Really well done. And the cast going back when they flash back to sort of when they were teenagers, the cast that they've got assembled there really great, and then obviously the adult counterparts also just as good. So yeah, Yellowjackets is certainly on the nice list.
Nice
for me. Thanks for reminding me about that, because yeah, it's really freaking good.
I was genuinely shocked. I saw Yellowstone. I'm like, wait, Yellow.
Yeah, Yellowjackets, but you'll have to get on Paramount Plus for Yellowjackets. I had to sign up to yet another subscription service to watch that.
Oh, that's what Ghosts is on, I think.
Okay, well, there you go. Maybe I can pivot and watch that easily then, because I'm already paying for this damn thing.
Yeah.
All right, so quick bit of housekeeping. First bit of news, at time of recording right now, if you wanted to pause this episode or finish it in its entirety, and then jump onto Spotify or whatever podcast player you are consuming The Hungry Gamers on, search for Bitecast. That's Bitecast, all one word. It's our brand new food-centric podcast. It is out now in the wild, available to consume whenever you are ready for some food-based podcast shenanigans. There is a half a dozen or so episodes already on the RSS feed, so loaded you up with plenty of content to see yourselves through for the next couple of weeks. And it's a mixture of, you know, one-on-one discussions with people from our space talking various food topics. There's a mixture of, you know, food challenges. You'll be able to listen to Jono and myself tackling the Savage Gummy Bear Challenge, which is the world's hottest gummy bears. Not a good time, full spoilers, but yeah, so it's going to be a mixture of one-on-ones, challenges, rapid reviews, just all kinds of fun food-based banter that's going to blur not only from the podcast space, but also to the video side as well. And what we've also done over this little holiday break is we've now set up a page on Fanhouse. So you can download the Fanhouse app, or you can go to fanhouse.app/weare8bits and follow us on there. We're probably going to be migrating any of our sort of paid-based content onto there, just because it's an easier way to access the exclusive podcast. We'll also have exclusive sort of video and photo-based content on there, Q&As, and just have a nice sort of place to do direct touch with, you know, the nation and the members of 8-Bit on there. So yeah, fanhouse.app/weare8bit, or just, download that Fanhouse app and search 8-Bit or Weare8bit through the parameters there. You can, follow us on there, whether you want to follow us on there for free. We're going to be dropping free content on there, but there's also going to be sort of a monthly sub-based offering on there to get you access to the content you've seen on like Ko-fi and Patreon and things like that over the last few years as well. So check that out. But we thought we would now pivot into what's been happening in the news that's nice. So let's grab this.
This week's news headlines.
And we've got two pieces of news that we think are, debatably nice. One is a big boy that we're going to follow up on. But this first one, I think, is also just as big. And we've got some words here from Wesley Yinpool over at Eurogamer. And Respawn is making 3 new Star Wars games EA has announced in the last 24 hours, maybe 12 hours, in the last little while.
Recent.
It's hot off the press. One is the expected follow-up to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, with game director Stig Asmussen at the helm. Another team at Respawn is working on a Star Wars first-person shooter, with former LucasArts VP of Development and executive producer of the original Star Wars Battlefront games, Peter Hirschman, installed as the game director for that one. Hirschman and the team at Respawn have just begun work on this game, EA has said. VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb has also clarified that this game will be made by the Medal of Honor VR team, though won't be in VR itself. Thank you, because you'd sort of lose a bit of quality if it sort of tried to straddle both lines there. And finally, Respawn is working on a Star Wars strategy game via a publishing collab with Bit Reactor, the recently founded Maryland-based studio made up of veterans of XCOM and Civilization developer Firaxis Games. Vince Zampella, Group GM and founder of Respawn, will oversee all of these products, EA have said. And a quote from Hirschman reads, "Working with Lucasfilm Games on a new FPS in the Star Wars galaxy is a dream come true for me, as this is a story I have always wanted to tell. No release windows or platforms were mentioned for either of the games. In its note to the press earlier today, EA made no mention of DICE, developer of the recent Star Wars Battlefront games, nor Star Wars Squadron developer EA Motive, which is making the Dead Space remake. So seems like Star Wars have pushed all their chips over to Respawn and said,
valid.
Go nuts, make us all the games. We've got 3 on the way. Follow-up to Jedi Fallen Order, awesome. Loved Jedi Fallen Order. And then a first-person shooter, and then a strat game. So Miss Hart, more Star Wars on the way.
Yes, so talking about a Star Wars strategy game, and they've mentioned people that kind of have worked on, I guess, Civ, XCOM, not so much for me. Anyway, I just really, really hope we're getting Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. I loved that game so much, and like, it's so hard to find, and like, barely anyone played it. So every time people talk about their favorite Star Wars games and I hit them with a Galactic Battlegrounds, everyone's like, what the fuck?
They're like, I beg your pardon?
You're a galactic what? I hope it's that. I really do hope it's that, but I feel like maybe they'll probably go down an XCOM route, probably. But the first person shooter one, I wonder about. Interesting. Yeah. And then like the team at Respawn as well, like they've kind of sat themselves as being able to provide first-person shooter content and do it very well.
Titanfall, Apex.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a guy, I've already seen a little meme where it's like Respawn and they're sitting at a barbecue cooking up Star Wars stuff, and it has the little dog on the side and it's got Titanfall written on it. It's like, well, we're not getting a Titanfall game anytime soon if they're going to be working on this. But it's exciting stuff. Respawn's a good studio. I personally have enjoyed a lot of stuff that they've brought out, and I can't wait to see more content of or more information on what they're actually developing and where in the Star Wars universes they'll be linking up to. Hopefully more canon stuff, but let's stay as far away from the Skywalker family as possible.
I got a strong feeling, just with the hype and the momentum and the big media machine and just Disney or Star Wars in general, this FPS would probably go like a bounty hunter-esque route, whether that be about the Mando, whether that be about Boba, whether it be about, I don't know, some type of bounty hunter or anti-hero. It would lend itself to that style of gameplay where if you were playing as a bounty hunter, and off the back, obviously, we've got Book of Boba doing the rounds on Disney Plus at the moment. We've got Season 3 of Mandalorian on the way. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that's the story they want to tell. We haven't had a Star Wars bounty hunter-esque game in a long time. Obviously, 1313 was the last proposed one that got shelved many, many years ago. So maybe we see Respawn go down that route. But I'm with you, like, let's get out of the Star Walker universe and all the characters that are potentially attached to them, and let's do a big time jump backwards or forwards and do something completely new and build out this world in more detail. But I feel they're probably just doing the low-hanging fruit and sticking to the characters they know. Yeah.
I mean, no, actually, that's not true. I was going to say Fallen Order, was able to move itself far away, which it kind of did, but it still kind of really did still attach itself to the timeline in a way. I don't know what I want out of it. I'm just always scared when it comes to like Star Wars content and exactly how they go about these sort of things, because things sometimes don't go well. Yeah,
but we'll see. But yeah, 3 new games on the way, and yeah, it's interesting that DICE and such have been pushed aside. They've probably just said to them, work on your battlefields. You go over there and you do your battlefields. Try and make this new Battlefield game actually good. Good luck. Participation award. All right, the other bit of news here, this has been circulating now for a little over a week, so we're not going to deep dive and go through the play-by-play in a big, massive, convoluted sort of novella. But the headline reads, Microsoft to buy Activision Blizzard King for $69 billion. Nice. Well, it's actually 68.7, but to be on brand here and tie into the nice, what's a cheeky 300 million on top? You know, that balances out.
Chump change.
So, holy guacamole, this is the biggest gaming news potentially, or maybe not ever, but as far as today goes, 2022, this is the biggest gaming news, I think, of all time as far as the power play that Microsoft have done.
Yeah. Started the year with the biggest of bangs. Yeah,
it is huge. So I've got sort of the essential facts that we've sort of correlated here and brought together. So just as far as bullet points go, so how much is Microsoft spending on the acquisition? Yeah, it's $68.7 billion US dollars. So it's about 95-ish billion AUD, which is absolutely bonkers. When will the deal be expected to be done? They're saying sometime between July 2022 and July 2023. Obviously, there's a lot of things that has to get signed off and restructuring and all that kind of stuff that goes with big business. You watch Succession, you might be able to understand some of these things a little bit more, as far as corporate takeovers and things like that. Will Activision Blizzard games come to Game Pass now? Yes, that is part of Microsoft's plan. So things like Overwatch, Diablo, WoW and stuff. I don't know how that's going to weave in yet because that's its standalone subscription. StarCraft is another one. There's a lot of big IP, obviously, because this is also then going to move other IPs and figureheads like Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk, Guitar Hero, all these characters that have been synonymous with PlayStation.
Yeah.
They're now under the Microsoft banner. Like Crash Bandicoot's the big one as far as when you think of these IPs and you think of it being glued to a platform outside of, the PC titles because it's a given. Crash Bandicoot is like PlayStation for me. And now he's under Team Green, which is pretty bonkers.
Spyro's there too now.
That's right. Yeah, Spyro's there. So they own Spyro, Crash, Banjo-Kazooie, Conker. They've got some pretty
Banjo.
Big. Yeah. Under the Rare acquisitions, they got Conker
Rare.
and Banjo.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so they've got themselves some platform figureheads, platform royalty. So the next hit point, will Activision Blizzard games be Xbox and PC exclusive now? So Microsoft is saying it's going to honor existing Sony contracts and won't make Call of Duty exclusive right away. But it's likely that some of Activision Blizzard's future games won't come to PlayStation. There's precedent. After Microsoft bought Bethesda, we learned that Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6 will be Xbox and PC exclusives. So they've already announced Blizzard are working on an exclusive new IP that's outside of the WoW realm and the Overwatch realms and stuff like that. But if we start to get more single-player focused stuff, like StarCraft titles, if they go back to another, maybe they go back and do another shooter that they did with StarCraft back in the day that got released on console eons ago. Oh. So maybe we're going to start seeing, your Sledgehammers and your Raven and your Infinity Wards, all these developers that have been so tied up with Call of Duty year on year. Maybe Microsoft are now going to say, you know what, Sledgehammer, you've done great with Call of Duty. What do you want to build next? And give them some freedom and some keys to go off and you get out of the Call of Duty shadow because, get out of that. And the other hit point here is Bobby Kotick, still the CEO of Activision Blizzard. That is one of the big talking points around the video game water cooler. So for now, yes, he is, but there's no confirmation yet about him leaving after the deal is done. But it makes sense to me that he's gone. They're gonna cut that rod out. They're going to annoyingly pay him a friggin' insane amount of money as far as this acquisition goes, and he's going to then go off and do whatever he pleases after this next 15 to 18 month sales cycle sees through. But he's gone. They've already sort of shown the restructured corporate tree as far as Microsoft and where they fit in, and Phil Spencer sits at the top. And there's a very great, very diverse board with so
Good
many
chunk of
females and so many
yeah.
people of color on that board representing Microsoft and all these studios. And yeah, Bobby Kotick on there, nowhere to be seen. So that is a win for gaming. But overall, Miss Hart, what do you think? This is big time. This is huge. This is one of the bigger fish eating an equally big fish. And Microsoft just further putting all their chips in for, getting studios underneath them, because we looked at this just before recording. In 2017, Xbox and Microsoft had 6 first-party studios under their banner. Fast forward now to the start of 2022, they have 35 studios now.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Overall, is this good or bad? What's your temperature check on this big move here?
I'm like on a warm, because I see positives and I see negatives. I see positives in the sense that everyone that, has been working for Activision Blizzard and kind of went through the shit. I really hope this is not a definite, but I really hope that this acquisition will move them into maybe a more safer environment, maybe. And then that maybe they will be able to move forward a little bit more comfortable. They may not. Microsoft may still drop the ball and still, put the people of Activision Blizzard, the team, through more stress. Who knows? But my brain just tells me if it's taken away from one bad person, there's an opportunity for improvement. It might not happen, but whatever. I worry about them owning so much, and just, taking more and more pieces of pie in the gaming sphere. I'm happy because that makes Game Pass more tantalizing and adds way more value. But then it also gives them the opportunity to increase the price of Game Pass and justify it, because the scale and scope of AAA and major titles are there, and they'll be able to justify that. And so the cost of Game Pass, we might start seeing ourselves kind of stuck and locked in, kind of in that Netflix space where you're like, maybe I should cancel Netflix, and then you're like, nah, that's fine, and then they increase Netflix, and you're like, nah, I'm canceling Netflix, and then you're like, nah, I'll just keep it for now, and then they'll just keep doing that. I don't know. There's a lot of variables here that I'm kind of keeping my eye on. It's hard. It's really, really hard. I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited to have access to all these other games as well, but there does seem to be something a little bit wrong about one of the major leaders in console and PC gaming owning and having control of so much. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It's like, as an Xbox fan and as a fan of gaming in general, this is exciting to me. I'm completely right there, step by step with you as far as the value that Game Pass presents itself with now. It hasn't been up for debate for a year and a half easy. We've always been harping on about how this is the best value in gaming, and now getting all these other studios and all these other IPs releasing day one on Game Pass as part of, for now, a $15 a month subscription. But yeah, as with all these new studios and all these new mouths to feed, no doubt that subscription fee will creep up over the next months or years, whatever frequency, because they're in the interest of making money. And Game Pass, they've got 25 million subscribers at the moment, which translates roughly to about $500 million they're generating monthly. So they're making $6 billion a year off Game Pass alone. That's no small fee, but a company as big as Microsoft and Xbox, no doubt the running costs for that business as a whole with all these studios would be astronomical. So even though $6 billion sounds like a lot off Game Pass, I wonder how much of that, what does that translate to from a profit standpoint? What are they actually taking home after costs that they can then reinvest into acquisitions like this? But it's the biggest gaming acquisition of all time as it currently stands. As far as sort of pop culture based acquisitions, it's sitting at number 3 at the moment. So Disney buying 21st Century Fox in 2019, that was $71.3 billion.
And then the biggest still to date is AT&T buys Time Warner in 2018 for $85.4 billion. So it's still huge. And like, there was a statistic I saw earlier where if you were to combine, I think it was like the 6 largest gaming acquisitions of all time, this would still be higher than those 6 combined. So damn. You can see Microsoft and Xbox are getting very, very serious as far as what they want to do and where they want to focus, and that is that Game Pass route where they just want to get as many eyes and hands on the product as possible and having it accessible at sub $20 a month, where you're getting hundreds of titles, day one releases, AAAs, indies, the whole gamut there. It's value that no one can debate. But yeah, I hope that it doesn't become like washed out. Like, you talked about all those awesome indies you were playing over the Christmas break on Game Pass. You don't want to see them get kicked further down the pecking order where you jump onto the Game Pass app and it's just all splashed as COD and Activision, all these games, and the indies just in the little corner dimly lit. Like, you want to still look at both ends of the spectrum here.
Do you reckon they'll change Game Pass to levels?
Oh, maybe. Like, well, obviously they've got Game Pass, then Game Pass Ultimate, which is the PC and the Xbox offering. But yeah, maybe they do tier it out where there's a Game Pass Lite that has some games and indies.
And then if you want premium and you want access to the AAAs and stuff like that, you'll have to pay just a little bit more than the base. Could be an angle. It's
probably a smart way to go about it. It probably makes them ensure they make more money that way. But yeah, I'm not upset if the price gets bumped a little bit. Like, if this goes from $15 to 20, like $20 a month is still, it's still money. Don't get me wrong. It's still a cost. But if we're getting then a couple of exclusive drop every month for $20, you're coming out like for, say, a typical $200 cost a month here in the AU to buy 2 day one release games. If you're getting them for 10% of the price, sign me up. Like, it's phenomenal. And I'm more so excited on this big acquisition just to see what those studios that have been so hamstrung under Activision and Blizzard for so many years, if Xbox and Microsoft just say, hey, what do you guys want to do? What have you guys been working on in the background that you think could be special? Yeah. We're going to give you this platform now to diversify and get out from under making a serial release of COD every year. We're going to let you spread your wings a little bit and get creative. Like, you look at what Guerrilla Games did, where they were known for Killzone year on year. And then they made Horizon. So let's see what some of these other studios can do and what the next great new IP is that's going to come out of that. But the one thing we didn't even mention is, like, obviously the acquisition of King, which is the people behind Candy Crush. Just the money machine that game is on itself. Also on the back of that's just generating more cashish for Xbox is bananas.
Yeah, the other avenue as well, I completely forgot, is the esports route. They now have Overwatch, they have Call of Duty. Hearthstone has like a kind of syndicate of esports as well. So
StarCraft as well. Yeah, they got so many.
Overwatch, the esports Overwatch tournaments and everything is massive. It is huge. And obviously based on what happened recently, they kind of went through some issues with losing out on some people to support them. So just taking on these new esports prominent game titles would have to be an investment as well. So yeah, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. I think more things are going to unfold as the time goes on.
Yeah, we're not going to see the full repercussions of this for maybe half a decade, really. True. As far as how this is going to play out, and is it going to be ultimately good or bad for the industry. Like, it's bad that this does monopolize the industry even more. Like, after Xbox buying Bethesda, which was huge, and that swallowed up a lot of studios and a lot of oxygen there as far as independent games or multi-platform games. And now with Activision Blizzard doing the same, it just makes you wonder if we're going to look down this lens in a decade and there's going to be just the big three, like Sony, Nintendo, Xbox and Microsoft, and then is Ubi and EA going to be purchased eventually? Are we going to see all these other studios get gobbled up, or is this it for now? Like, is this it, or is Sony going to try and return fire and pick up someone like Square or Kojima Like, Kojima's obviously not on the same level as Activision Blizzard, but I feel they need to return fire in some way. I don't know what that is. Like, they've got phenomenal games that stand on their own.
Yeah.
But this is a scale we might not ever see again. Outside of Take-Two with Rockstar and GTA, I can't think of a purchase. Like, Ubi would cost a bomb, I'd imagine. Would it cost
yeah.
$69 billion? I don't know.
Nice. Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's just cannibalization of the market. But it feels like Xbox, even though they are now, in some people's eyes, the big evil corporate giant, it feels like every part of their messaging coming down the funnel from Phil Spencer and everyone else involved, it feels positive. You know, they're honoring existing agreements. They're still games like Call of Duty, I think, will still continue to exist on other platforms, but it's just those new IPs that will just be then cherry-picked to stay on Team Green only. And I get it. When you're throwing 69 nice billion around, you want ROI as quick as possible.
Of course, yeah. Of course. It's business. It's just business.
It's just business. But holy guacamole, I remember seeing this news break 8 days ago or so, and we were sort of having a chatter on in one of our Facebook feeds, and it's just insane out of left field. Like, there was no reporting, there was no rumoring of this sort of coming up, there was no stuff like rustling in the bushes.
No, I saw a post. I can't remember who it was. I saw a post and it said like posted like so many minutes ago, and then directly right after it was Xbox's announcement, like just a few minutes later. So someone cracked it just a little bit earlier than they did, but yeah. But you're right. It was just like bang. Like, and it was first thing in the morning here in the States, so big time. Like, it was just the same, like, what the hell, like with the Bethesda announcement, but this was obviously 10 times the purchase price of buying Bethesda. Oh yeah, which is or 9 times if you want to do your quick maths. But holy hell, we're going to hear a lot more about this over the coming 12 months as far as the fallout and the new strategies. And the sooner we hear that Bobby Kotick is getting sent to pasture, the better, because once that big black mark and all the subsequent people underneath him that were also shit kickers and pieces of crap and just genuine not good people, the second that broom is put through the place, the better. You know, that healing can begin, that reset can begin, and that new culture can be instilled. So, watch this space. But my God, Microsoft making moves. Holy moly. Yeah. Holy moly. All right, we're going to jump into the back end here of the episode, and we thought we'd bookend this episode with what we think that is coming out this year that's going to be nice. So this could be movies, games, TV shows. I didn't even think movies. I was just like, strictly games.
This can be strictly games and some TV shows and movies if they're on your mind as well. But Miss Hart, what do you think is coming out this year that's going to be nice?
So looking forward to Destiny 2 The Witch Queen. That is February 22nd. This looks so nice. Everything that they've kind of announced leading up to it has just been amazing. It looks so good. Looking forward to that. Aztec Forgotten Gods is coming out March 10. We've seen this one in the trailer, I think, of the game's Xbox Indie Showcase, I think it might have been, and it just looks really cool. I love the design, and hopefully the soundtrack is as cool as it was in the trailer as well. I've written hopefully Scorn. Whatever happened to Scorn?
They've been radio silent about this horror game. Yeah. Unveiled at the original Xbox Series X/S announcement. And crickets ever since.
It was meant to be released last year. Like, it was scheduled for end of last year and we just didn't hear anything. It's apparently meant to come out October this year, so I've got my fingers and toes crossed. But, you know, as the years been and the years previous, like, can't be definite on anything with the release. And I said maybe the Cyberpunk upgrade. I've been, like, waiting to replay Cyberpunk, and the upgrade is my reason to replay it. So I'm just hoping that the upgrade does come out. It's within the first half of this year. Is it first half or second?
I think they said
I can't remember. They
June,
changed it again. Yeah.
But it feels like the wind's going to change direction and this thing could get kicked to 2023 very suddenly. Like, yeah. It's bonkers. Like, CDPR are a huge outfit these days, but the fact that this is taking them so long to roll out is just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. It's it's been a roller coaster, but it really does reflect that how much the game really shouldn't have come out the way it is. But either way, I still doesn't stop the fact that I really enjoyed the game and I want to play it again. I'm just itching to play it.
Yeah, I'd love to give it another spin and cruise around Night City. And on the back of that, also, I hope with that that upgrade, maybe they coincide that release of the upgrade with some DLC. So at least there's a fresh incentive to maybe jump back in.
Yeah, maybe.
And give it a spin. Because there was planned DLC for Cyberpunk, but we haven't even heard anything more about that as well because they've just been focused so heavily on quality of life patch fixes and things like that. So
everything, yeah.
So we'll see. Chronologically, for myself, obviously, I'm excited for a bit of Destiny. I'm going to jump in, play that campaign piece. Tide me over for probably a week or two and then not touch it until the next campaign piece.
Won't see you again.
But I'm looking forward to that cameo. Obviously, Dying Light 2 comes out at the start of February. I'm intrigued by that. I'm very interested by that. But the big one as far as upcomings that I think is going to be nice, but this is like nice times 10, is Horizon Forbidden West coming out February 18th. So less than a month away to see what Guerrilla and Aloy have been up to with this next sequel to the smash hit, one of my favorite games of all time. A movie that's coming out on March the 3rd, The Batman, the long 3-hour... hopefully not bore fest, because they're not going to try and drag this out and make it like this slow burn drama. Like,
if we have to be told why Batman is Batman again.
Oh my God, please don't. Yeah. Just skip the backstory bullshit.
Focus on the bad guys.
Yeah.
The Riddler, I like the angle that they've gone with the Riddler. He kind of has this jigsaw vibe. I'm like, okay, it's not traditional, but I'm down if that's the way you're going.
Jigsaw-y Zodiac killer sort of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I like that they've lent into sort of this serial killer aspect, but then also, I think the movie's only rated like M.
It's
like
PG. It's something stupid. When I saw,
it didn't get the R rating in America.
No.
So even though they say this has got some horror elements, I'm like, how much? How dark are you going? Like, they're saying it's the darkest one yet. And I'm like, well, with a PG-13 or an M or an MA rating here in the AU, that's not too dark.
No.
But we'll see. We'll see what old Rob Pattinson's up to in about 5-6 weeks' time. I'm going to give it a watch, but the runtime, 3 hours.
I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
I have little faith. We've been, a DC fan, we've been, although lately we've been all right, but like, we've been burnt a lot, so.
Yeah, we have indeed. But you know what? Peacemaker gives us hope. The Suicide Squad gives us hope. So let's see what happens with the Batman come March the 3rd.
Focus on the villains.
Jumping forward a good chunk here chronologically, Lord of the Rings of Power has obviously been in the works for a while. It's coming out September the 2nd. We got a announcement trailer the other day, and little bit of spoiler on that trailer. That was actually shot in real time. That's not CGI as far as watching them melt and create these rings. That was actually done in a legit forge and they filmed it. So that's kind of freaking cool. But there was no showcase of characters. There was no actual like footage cut from the show itself. So we don't really know what it looks like or how it's going to play out. But I'm excited because I'm a bit of a Lord of the Rings, tragic. So I'm keen for that. Starfield coming out November the 11th. So the next new great IP in air quotes from Bethesda, Xbox and PC exclusive, dropping on Remembrance Day. I'm keen for like Fallout or Elder Scrolls in space. Like, let's fucking go. I'm in. Take my money day one. Very excited for that. And sort of jumping on the back of you as far as not sure about the dates with Scorn and that Cyberpunk upgrade. Obviously, God of War Ragnarok heavily rumored to be out sometime in 2022, but the fact they haven't said anything yet, it makes me wonder, COVID going to be hitting delays on this? I don't know. And then the other game I want to mention is the Callisto Protocol, which is a horror game that's heavily rumored to come out this year as well, getting chaired by the creator of Dead Space. It somehow is attached to PUBG, like it's attached to the greater PlayerUnknown's universe. I don't know how the fuck, because this is like atmospheric survival horror. Like, the trailer looks terrifying, but it's somehow connected to PUBG. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why, but I'm very interested in that as well, as far as things that could be scary nice. Like,
could be.
poo your pants nice.
Like a good scary game.
plenty of other stuff that's going to be coming out this year, plenty of other things that's going to be announced in the coming weeks and months to get excited about. And we could sit here all day and go the play-by-play as far as movies and TV shows and other games that are coming out that could be nice. But we've just cherry-picked a few here because we don't want to be stuck here talking for the next 65 hours. You know, well, we're just easing back into that THG swing.
Yeah.
And, that brings us to the end of episode 269. Nice. Miss Hart, anything else you want to say, shout out before we shut down the studio for another week or so?
Yeah, I'm going to correct myself on butchering that poor D&D TV show. It is actually called The Legend of Vox Machina. So, that's the one that I'm going to correct myself. I'm also going to possibly just kind of put it out there. There is a reason why I know I didn't bring up Boba Fett TV series. Just going to leave it at that. I don't want to open up a can of worms, but just know that I didn't bring it up for a reason.
I don't mind it. Some of the episodes have been filler and shit, but a couple of the episodes I've really enjoyed. I think it was episode 3 that felt like very true to the early films. And I'm not going to go into specifics, but it was the episode that had Danny Trejo in it. That episode I really enjoyed. But the rest of them have just been
I can't say anything. I can't. This will open up a can of worms and I just don't have the time. And people don't want to hear it either. So that's all I'm going to say and end this episode on.
Yeah, that's fair. We've been talking nice for so long and we're going to end on a little bit of not so nice.
Give you a little sting at the end.
Yeah, but we're back in the swing of things, so we will have a episode 270 of THG. It's going to be dropping on the normal time, so it'll be out on your Monday, AU, US, Sunday for the rest of the world. But that's not going to be next Monday, so this episode's going to sort of see you through for the next 9 to 10 days, give or take. But the next full release of THG will be out on, the 7th/6th of February. But yeah, in the interim, go check out Bitecast, available now. Half a dozen episodes to consume. Great fun. Great different type of podcast as far as, we talk food, we dabble on things we've eaten and done, but now we've just laser focused that in and made its own standalone thing. And it's really fun and interesting to get people's food stories. It's cool to sort of see their history and their weird food habits and guilty pleasures and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool in that regard. So in the next wave of releases for Bitecast, we'll be picking Miss Ellie Hart's brain as far as those interesting food habits and guilty pleasures and what have you. But yeah, Bitecast, check that out. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe Bitecast, as well as The Hungry Gamers and all the other podcasts you listen to on the reg, on those podcast feeds. If you're on Spotify, they've got a new rating system on Spotify now. So if you can give us a cheeky 5 stars on there, that would be phenomenal. Takes you no time, costs you no money, means an awful lot to all of us, and helps keep those emotional lights on in our hearts. But yeah, that's the end of THG 269. We've got some more announcements coming as far as new content and other new things that you'll be experiencing in 2022 on the way as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled to the social feeds at We Are 8-Bit, at Miss Ellie Hart, or at Brendan 8-Bit to see what else we've been cooking up in the kitchen. But Miss Hart, that brings us to the end of episode 269. Nice. Let's get on out of here. Until next time, Happy Nation, stay safe, much love,
and stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.